let's make some graphics. So there's going to be some setup involved at the beginning here. So let's start by making a new project. So it's the same steps as before, so we'll go to File, New, Java Project. This time, let's call it Hello Graphics. And you can click Finish. And you see it's added your project here in the left-hand panel. So I'm going to go ahead and just close this Hello World. You should also. If you want to save it, go ahead and save it. And let's open Hello Graphics. And same way as before, I click on Source. I'll right-click and say New Java Class, which means Java Program. And let's call this one Hello Graphics. This time, don't click on this box, though, because I don't want a public static void main. A program that uses graphics is going to be organized a little bit differently than a program that doesn't. So if all has gone well, it should look like this. For a graphics program, you don't have public static void main. Instead, you have something that sounds a little bit similar, public void setup, like that. And we're going to have two commands inside setup. A command called size, which tells the computer what size you want the graphics window to be. So I'm going to make it 600 by 600. And yours will have some red underlining here, and that's normal. We'll come back to that. And then the second command is ellipse. If you remember what the word ellipse means, ellipse is sort of like a math word for oval. But we're going to make an oval whose width and height are the same, so it's actually going to look like a circle. So let's type some numbers here, and we'll come back in a minute and say, what do these numbers mean? But each of these numbers is saying something about how that ellipse is supposed to look. Alright, well, so the red underlining means that it's not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work is because these graphics commands are not part of natural Java. So last time we had to import, we had to bring in somebody else's code. So we have to do that again. But this time, the code that we have to bring in, you have to download it from our website. So let's pause here and open a web browser and go into School Loop so that you can download the graphics code we need. So here I am inside School Loop. I'm logging in. Yours looks different than this because I have a teacher page. But if you go to the course locker for this class, you're going to see several things you can download. I want you to click on the core.jar download. And it might say that this file can harm your computer. That's because it's a program that can run, and you never want to run a program that you don't trust. But you can trust me, so you should say keep. Now comes the tricky part, especially if you're not used to manipulating files on your computer. Don't just click here. Well, let me show you what happens if you do. What happens if you do is you try and open it, but the computer doesn't necessarily know how to open it. So you don't want to do that. Instead, we want to save this file into a folder where we know where it is. So if you're using Chrome, you can click on this little right-hand arrow here and click Show in Folder. That's going to open the File Explorer, and it's downloaded to your Downloads folder. So we need to move this to somewhere else. So a good way to move it is to do this. You left-click to select it. A lot of students like to right-click to say copy, and you can definitely do that if you want to. An even shorter way to do it is to hold down the Control key and press C, which stands for copy. So Control-C, as long as you have it selected, will copy it. Okay, now you have to go and find your workspace again. Remember where you created your workspace? It's in the C drive in a folder with your name. And then you want to paste that same file into this folder. You should see the names of your projects here, because every time you create a project, it creates a folder whose name is the same as your project. So you can right-click and say paste, or if you want to, you can hold the Control key and press V, which does not seem to stand for paste, but Control V is how you paste. So you should see core.jar inside this folder now. Okay, so let's go back to Eclipse, and I'll show you how to tell Eclipse how to put that file into your project. So here we are. Click on the very top level folder for your project. So click on Hello Graphics, and then right click, and we want to go all the way down to Properties. Inside Properties, there's a lot of different things you can control. We want this one called Java Build Path. And then we want this tab which says Libraries. And we want to click this button that says Add External Jars. So it's going to open to somewhere random. So again, you need to go and find that folder where you put your file. I hope you can see that when you're programming, you really need to remember like what folders all your files are in, because the program always wants to know. So if you just click download and you don't know where it went to, you're going to have a hard time. So let's navigate back to our folder, C drive. Here's the folder with your name on it, and there's the file that we downloaded. So you can click open, and then you can click OK. Alright, so there's two last steps. Right here on line 2, where it says public class hello graphics, type the word extends, which should highlight in purple, and then p applet with a capital P and a capital A. Now if you hover over p applet, you can say import, and that's the last step. It's finally worked. So remember, just like last time we imported, import means bring in somebody else's code. So we've now brought in the code, and so it knows what these two commands mean, and that's why the red has gone away. So if all has gone well, you can click play, and it's opened a little graphics window, and there you see the ellipse, the oval. But because our oval is the same size, it's displayed like a circle. Okay, that was a lot of setup, so let's come back next time and I'll tell you more details about how that command that displays the circle works.